So good. Good morning. I'm now going to call the April 10th, 2024 San Diego County Board of Supervisors Land Use Meeting and Flood Control District Meeting to order. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson. Here. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp.
Here.
Supervisor Desmond. Here. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. Chairwoman Vargas.
Vargas here. We're now going to proceed with non-agenda public communications. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action that the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. Reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public that are not English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments, which is 4 minutes. As a reminder, according to the board rules and procedures, audience members should not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. To better facilitate the meeting, we will have 5 speakers in person, 5 speakers via phone, and the rest of the non-agenda public communications will be heard at the close of today's meeting. Clerk, can you please call the speakers from the public?
Thank you, Chairman Vargas. We do have 26 total. We do have 26 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 16 individuals in person, and 10 requesting to speak by phone. For those that have requested to speak via phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and as noted, we'll be calling the first 5 speakers pursuant to the board's rules and procedures. All remaining speakers will be here at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. Then you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. And I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Michael Brando, Audrey Reynolds, Michelle Walter, Summer Light, John Allen. You can come forward in any order and you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. You may come forward in any order. 2 minutes.
Audrey Reynolds. I've told you before that Department of Animal Services is not enforcing the humane law and that many animals, especially horses, have been left at the hands of their abusers during the Kelly Campbell 4-year reign of terror. The new director must have a background in law enforcement, have shelter experience, and enforce the humane law. But a new and efficient director is still not enough to bring about the necessary changes needed to this agency. You need to put animal services on your agenda, come up with a budget and a plan to hire qualified personnel and provide expert training for the officers. Bob Ferber, retired animal cruelty prosecutor for Los Angeles, read the report of a botched investigation of a large horse sanctuary in East County. He offered Campbell expert training for her department and she turned him down. And according to an officer currently working there, there needs to be better training. There needs to be an equine veterinarian, no more small animal vets going out on investigations involving multiple horses, and we need at least 2 equine expert officers. There's no education for owners that fail their horses. And animal hoarding is a huge problem in our county. It endangers animals. Hoarders do not care for nor about their animals. If the ongoing acquisition of animals is not halted, eventually the situation will implode. The department fails to seize animals who are victims of hoarding neglect. They fail to bring cruelty charges to their abuser. ASPCA recommends a multi-agency approach to resolving hoarding cases. Without intervention, both through law enforcement and court-mandated counselling, the hoarder typically will continue to take in more animals. Currently, there's 1 local case in the county where 60 cats has now become 200 cats, 20+ dogs and 50+ horses. These animals will soon become wards of the county. Campbell was warned, but she didn't listen. There are no standards of care in this county. Anything and everything is acceptable, and the shelter law is not enforced. Wynn was starved to death by his owner. I fed this horse for the last 10 days of his life, but no one came to talk to me. No necropsy was performed, and the owner was allowed to keep 2 other horses.
Next speaker.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Walther, and I'm here to speak on the animal abuse that's going on right now. I'm in District 4, so Stace, Monica, you're in my district. So thank you for being here. On March 27th, 2023, an emaciated horse who was skin and bones was found dying on the property of the owner of Deborah Barkley and Craig Network. How can this be in 2024? Los Angeles Alliance Animals alleged that animal control officer responded but did not immediately euthanize the horse. Why is animal control not doing anything? Who's enforcing what they do with these horses? The horse languished for 2 hours. 2 hours. And the bystander who identified themselves as veterinarians offered to euthanize the horse, but refused, and this resulted in prolonged distress for the elderly mare. 2 hours. They don't have enough people there, or they don't have training. What is going on? Why is this not happening? Why is the County of Animal Control not doing anything about this? We asked to have them conduct a thorough investigation into the situation. It failed again and again and again. We're in 2024. This has been going on for 1 year. Now another horse was found dead on the property in less than a year. Why is Deborah Barkley and Craig Network able to have these horses on their property and dogs running wild? Horses don't have anything to eat. They're dying. And yet I'm at the horse races protesting the horses that she's racing. I mean, do you see the dichotomy of this? This is crazy. I don't get it. Please help us. Please step up and remove all.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Please put the animals in sanctuaries.
Next speaker.
My name is Summer Light, and I'm here specifically to address Jim Desmond. Hi, Jim. Because I'm here representing the San Elijo Hills community. Jim, over 70 people have signed a petition, and on this parcel, it was designated in the San Elijo Hills Amendment Plan to be left untouched and managed as a wildlife preserve. Your San Elijo community treasures its views, Jim, and we're circulating a petition to get it cleaned up. Now, why would this asphalt be laid there? Well, the workers said they got stuck in the mud and they needed to monitor. If you'll look at this picture, and you'll have the handout, the well for monitoring is on the top of the hill. You don't need this asphalt to monitor the well. If they need to reach the other area, the blue area is where we feel the asphalt needs to be removed because it's disrupted the wildlife and created an eyesore. Jim, that's just a 1-minute walk, so workers don't need asphalt to check along the fence line, and they don't need it to monitor the well. The other thing, if we go to the next slide, this is what the homeowners see. And the next slide, please, the next picture. And this is the hiker view. Landscaping this area did not work. Please look over this short handout that we've cremated for you and review our reasons for getting it removed. Thank you so much, Jim. We appreciate your support.
Michael.
It isn't enough just to look up the drug names on drug interaction.
Well, I was going to actually share something, and I still might, that related to these wonderful people that have come to talk about the horses that have been abused and emaciated.
The penny for poverty would just go to the general fund, meaning it can be spent any way you want. Then they're done that. Next topic. Lake Hodges will waste 33 million gallons of perfectly good water a day, and El Capitan will also start wasting water soon. Both dams have been left in a state of neglected condition. If you guys can't upkeep infrastructure, you don't need more taxes. You need to be defunded. Pump stations, roads, sidewalks, dams, drains, channels are all crumbling in this city. But that's exactly why the Unpure Water Project is being pushed. It lowers the budget as there won't be any investment in repairs on dams to hold real water. Toilet to tap unpure water requires many steps to sanitize it to death. It has so few nutrients left that they have to actually add minerals to it. But who else benefits? Because we know it's not the people. Have you guys heard of Craig Netwig? You have, right? This guy and his former wife, Deborah Barkley, are the ones with the dying horses from starvation, neglect, and abuse. But Craig has an international chemical company based in San Diego that provides the chemicals to treat toxic toilets with tap water. He just happens to be able to have dying horses for at least a whole year without any punishment, while he's making thousands of dollars off racing horses at Santa Anita. And even when Craig and Deborah both allegedly pointed guns at people, including at a CBS 8 News crew. Cui bono. Now on to fun.
So that was Truth calling into the city of San Diego. What's going on with the dying, emaciated horses? And who is Craig Netwig? And what does this all have to do with the Pure Water Initiative? What's going on? Truth is looking into this.
Good morning. My name is John Allen. Thank you guys for the opportunity to speak quickly. I wanted to thank Joel Anderson's office for support on the local reservoir recreational access initiatives that are ongoing countywide, as well as the San Diego County Trails Master Plan and Community Trails Network. I'm a very avid outdoorsman, trailaholic, volunteer with multiple agencies, became involved with the Lovin Reservoir area, and have become aware of an incredible opportunity for a regional hub along the California Hiking and Riding Trail. I work actively with the state of California and their trails management team. They're transferring files with the county parks and rec. The only person I know over there right now is Lizzie Bendrick. I just want to encourage the board to continue to support and increase awareness amongst the departments. We have public works, we have planning, we have park and rec. There's the carbon reduction initiatives and community connective initiatives and all kinds of things regionally with alternative modalities. We have an incredible trans-county trail in the form of the California Riding Hiking Trail. It is the spine and the backbone of the County Trail Master Plan. It's been compromised in a few places by either public or private parties and closures of easements or expiration of agreements. We just want to make sure that we don't lose this opportunity to have that regional connection between all the river parks and all the community trails in the area. Before any mistakes are made or good alignments are lost. So thank you again for your time and your support, and we look forward to working with some designees to really advance this before it's lost. So, thank you.
Thank you. And now we will hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. Remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. Then you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I would like to remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll begin with our first caller.
Consuelo. Regarding the horses, so sad, but it's really even, it's disappointing to know that, we have, that's been going on for so long, and it just always get that anytime somebody is not being held accountable, and they're always connected in some way. So please, to the people who are fighting this fight for the sweet horses, just keep in mind that, these people don't work for us. The DA, all these people who should have looked into this a long time ago and taken care of this, there's reasons. There's always reasons to always go a little bit deeper, and it always has to do with money and control. Aside from that, yesterday's meeting, I wanted to tell you, Nora, you were so triggered. You gave me a warning. I was off topic. Well, guess what? The meeting went so smoothly without you. You were my only warning. A lot of Brown Act violations and Robert's Rules of Order violations. What else was I going to say? Yeah, but other than that, you should stay away more often, because it was a really great meeting. So yeah, people pay attention, show up, hold these elected officials, supposedly elected officials, accountable. Keep in mind, it's people are up for re-election, so they're going to try to do and say and perform so great up until they're elected and they're back to their usual bullshit selves. Pay attention, get involved, stay involved, not just when you're being affected. Show up. That's all I got.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Slow bold. Good morning. It really sounds like you need to shake up the Animal Control Department, possibly investigate a few other departments like the Water Department. And speak of water, U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, Democrat, California, said, I believe last Thursday, that he has secured more than $130 million in additional funding to help repair the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant located near the U.S.-Mexico border. You are probably thinking, good, problem solved. I agree with the good part, but the problem is that it is actually less than half the $310 million that the Senate originally allocated. The money was never actually appropriated. But this is where you can help. The bill also allows other federal agencies, along with state and local governments, to contribute funds to the IBWC plant's rehabilitation and reconstruction. Wow, permission to send out more letters. Elsewhere, San Diego's 9 city reservoirs have already captured enough rainwater since the beginning of the year to serve all of the city's 1.4 million water customers for 56 whole days with no imported water, a spokesman said Wednesday. San Diegans have water for 2 months instead of 2 weeks. Hope the county can do better.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisor, Chair Nora Vargas. My name is Terry Ann Skelly, and I work in after-school programs that support our elementary school students with safe and nurturing experiences assisted by volunteer high school students. I care about the experience of childhood, the safety of their schools and homes and neighborhoods. Many of us have become aware of the random violence perpetrated against youth and others by those in their neighborhoods who, under the influence of drugs, more notably marijuana this past decade. The recent tragedy in Rockford, Illinois, resulting in the loss of 6 lives due to a marijuana-related episode, including a 15-year-old girl and the neighborhood mailman, The widespread availability of marijuana through dispensaries in our county and the large highway billboards promoting it don't tell the truth, which is that marijuana can aggravate mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and psychosis. Recently, National Institute on Drug Abuse, NIDA, issued a press release that highlighted the research showing the link between marijuana use and the development of mental disorders such as schizophrenia. We cannot afford to ignore this danger posed by promotion of marijuana use in our county and the expansion of marijuana retail shops. Now is the time for our county to take a pause and more research comes to light about the mental health dangers of marijuana use by young adults. This would be a proactive measure to mitigate the mental health challenges within our county. Thank you for hearing my concerns this morning.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Lippett. As a public policy researcher, I follow the data associated with unclear, misguided, or harmful public policies. Permissive marijuana policies have led to alarming data that we continue to bring to the board's attention. Marijuana commercialization and normalization have not surprisingly led to a majority of heavy users who are now parents with minor children. A heavy user is an individual who smokes or vapes or consumes 3 or more times a week. Heavy users used to be young men. Today, 54% are over 35, 43% are female, and an astounding 55% are parents with children under 18. The study I referred to also addressed heavy users' preference for procuring marijuana, which should matter greatly to the board. 38% admitted to purchasing it from an illicit or unlawful retailer, dealer, or mail order. The failure to oversee the marijuana regulations that government officials have adopted are responsible for these horrific research findings. And as marijuana is typically the first drug of use, it has led to the overdose deaths in the United States. The Centers for Disease Control published data that shows that drug overdose deaths in the U.S. has reached an all-time high. And according to March 2024, over 107,941 Americans died of drug overdose, which equates to 295 people a day. And yet, we still continue to watch as...
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hello, this is Kelly McCormick. I'm a public health educator with a focus on youth alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention. April is Alcohol Awareness Month, making it a good time to dispel myths around alcohol use by teens. Some people still hold the outdated belief that it's okay for kids to drink at home because they will learn to drink responsibly. Science does not back this up. This is simply introducing an addictive substance at a time when the brain is more likely to develop addiction. The BBC recently published an article called "Why Alcohol is So Dangerous for Young Adult Brains." In the article, neuropsychologist Lindsay Squeglia from the Medical University of South Carolina says, quote, "Our message is to delay use for as long as you can." She said the adolescent brain is growing, pruning, and rewiring until the age of 25. And during this period, alcohol use is associated with a more rapid decline in gray matter than normal, while the growth of white matter is stunted. Adolescents are generally more lean than adults. Therefore, drinking one glass of alcohol results in a higher blood alcohol content for young people than for adults. Also, during this period of growth, there's a higher head-to-body ratio. This matters because it means that more alcohol ends up in the brains of young people. Dr. Rudd Rudbein, who studies alcohol's effects on youth, says it's the reason they are more likely to get alcohol poisoning. Alcohol use also endangers young people because it releases inhibitions at a stage in life when they are already more likely to engage in risky behavior. For these reasons, it's important to educate people and to create social norms that support an alcohol-free lifestyle for youth. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. And again, all remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes, statement of proceedings for the regular meeting of March 13, 2024, and the flood control district meetings of March 13, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there? We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present and voting aye.
All right, we will now proceed with the formation of our consent calendars. Item 1 to 7 and flood control district item number 1. Members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar after the supervisors pull the items they would like to discuss. Would any of my colleagues like to pull any items? Supervisor Montgomery Stepp?
I'd like to pull item number 10, please.
Okay. Supervisor Desmond?
No items to pull. I got some comments real quickly, and I'll second I'll make a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar. But item number 4, this is on 2025 Transnet Local Streets Program. I'd like to thank Department of Public Works for their, it's good to see these Transnet dollars flowing into the unincorporated areas, particularly in the Buena Creek, Bonsall, and Valley Center area of my district. and particularly for the improvements on South Santa Fe in Buena Creek near the Sprinter stop. This is the county's only fixed rail transit stop in the unincorporated area. So improvements to this intersection is going to help unlock the growth and potential needed to this area to provide housing that we need as a region. So I'm glad to see DPW moving forward with the infrastructure needs there to allow housing and affordable housing in that area. So thanks to the Department of Public Works, I'm glad that we're still putting those Transnet dollars to good use. Item number 6, this is the airport lease, working families ordinance. I want to thank, again, DPW for their additional outreach and education to the airport leaseholders. Excuse me. You have to come back to me. Anyway, I'm certainly was not a fan of the Working Families Ordinance. At least now it's clear that folks are what they're signing up for if they accept the lease extensions. I have to say, though, I'm concerned whenever government determines how businesses compensate their employees. I think the businesses should be able to come up with their own work rules and pay and benefits. But I'll support this item today, but remain cautious moving forward. So I talked to many of our airport lessees, and they're okay with this moving forward. Item 11, this is the Warner Springs Community Plan boundary to include the Los Coyotes tribe. So my office was approached by the Warner Springs Community Group and a member of the Los Coyotes tribe requesting a change in the Warner Springs Community Plan boundary. The reason was so the tribe could be eligible to nominate a seat member on the sponsor group. And that's what what staff is asked to look into today. So I want to make clear this action will not allow the sponsor group nor the county to make decisions on matters concerning the tribal lands, but allowing a member of Los Coyotes to be eligible for appointment to the sponsor group. It's going to help ensure tribal concerns are considered during local land decisions and recommendations. So it's a good neighborly thing to do. So with that, I have no other comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson?
No changes. Do you need a second or a first? Or
We have a first and a second.
Perfect.
Thank you.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we did. She did not? Oh, I thought you did.
She
Sorry.
didn't move it.
Okay. You can second.
No, you can second.
Oh, I thought. Yeah, we got confused. All right, I don't have any other items to pull at this time, so we're going to go ahead and turn it over to the public for public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 10 total requests to speak on items on the consent calendar, 2 individuals in person and 8 requesting to speak by phone as noted. And as a reminder, item 10 has been pulled from the consent calendar for discussion. So any members of the public that have requested to speak on that item, please hold your comments until the board discusses that item. We will receive public comment on that item separately. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on the items on the remaining balance on the consent calendar, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it's your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals, Dave and Robert Gurman. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and if you could please begin by stating your name for the record.
Are we ready? Mm-hmm. Item 6, slide 1, Chairperson of Gillespie Field Development Council, Phyllis Tromby, directing aircraft at Gillespie Field Airport, aka Aeroflopolis. The Aeroflopolis is the motive behind item 6. It is a failure. Note the date of 2013 on the articles that promised everything and has delivered nothing but toxins, noise, and minimum wage jobs, all with lots of money from Sandag. The economic engine would not consider making a proposal for the Chargers moving east, even though we had a perfect location. 70 acres of flat, vacant, prime land located in the middle of El Cajon across the street from Supervisors Anderson's office. This Aeroflopolis has to be withdrawn. The Gillespie Airport layout plan was finished in 2005 before the Great Depression and COVID. Both of these incidences affected San Diego County's airports. The county's airport data is outdated and thus data is inaccurate and outdated. Sandag is re-examining their data after COVID. County of San Diego Ports should follow Sandag's lead and implement a new ALP. For 20 years, the last administration made promises upon promises of a great aviation development, but in reality, it was nothing more than sandbagging the citizens' property. Gillespie Field Development Council won't even recommend housing the homeless, safe parking site, or housing of migrant children. This vacant 70 acres has utilities and is gated. Maybe the problem is the site is across the street from Supervisors Anderson's office. Thank you.
Thank you. And last call for Dave. Thank you. We'll now go to the speakers that have requested to speak by phone. And again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You'll then hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd like to again remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin their comments. And we'll begin with our first caller.
Paula Bold, resolution for calorie cycle, recycling, cleanup, and resource management. That is something I hope we can all get behind. And I hope a good chunk of that money goes to the TJ River sewage, especially the stuff that comes from our side of the border, which the feds seem to have ignored for a long time. Resolution for drought resilience planning. Great. Looks like all those city water tanks we thought were just sitting there, a blot on the landscape, might be useful after all. But you should include the entire county and not just 4 underserved areas in 2 cities. Mother Nature does not discriminate when it comes to weather. Fallbrook and Lakeside might have minimal rainfall while other places are drenched. Look at the rainfall map. The county is too big to play these equity games. I oppose your implementation plan. We all need water. Update on, Transnet. We need to start operating in the light and being fully transparent and open with the public. The Bradley area overcrossing suddenly has estimates of $45 million from FY 2024 to 7, where it had none in last year's report. Colgrade Road only produced, it goes from 3.2 mil to 28.5 mil in the current report. They're adding 2 projects for 19 mil as well, while deferring only 2 projects. And that the whole thing is like a negative 4.7 mil expended.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Hi, Mary Davis here, calling in opposition to item 4, the Transnet, and in particular, it was taking the money from Alpine and putting it to other projects in Santa Fe. Alpine absolutely wants a safe, recreational, and protected bike path. We've been fighting for this a long time. It aligns with the Sandag goals for active transportation. This is for what would be the Alpine Loop, which is southbound Tavern from Alpine Boulevard to South Grade, eastbound along South Grade, then back up to Alpine Boulevard, and then along Alpine Boulevard to complete. We are repeatedly getting the short end of the stick in the unincorporated area. We're tired of it. Please do not take this money. There's money in the county budget for other things, and we're asking for our fair share to complete a project. We already have a robust presence of bicyclists. We need to keep them safe in alignment with the Vision Zero goals. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
It's truth. Item 1, interesting that it's taken 6 months to reduce speed limits in 5 locations. I'm glad, though. Item 3, allegedly the gas tax goes to fixing roads, but obviously not. And because the county uses 25% recycled asphalt, no wonder road resurfacing crumbles so easily. And 4, Transnet taxes are another fraud where the money's gone to everything but what was promised. Until we pop Sandag out of the county's top, local people will not have a say in how their money's spent. And no to complete streets, and no to United Nations-inspired stupid growth to restrict growth. Item 5, if the county really wants to reduce waste, start by getting rid of most of the items on every meeting's agenda. Item 6, there is zero reason why airports should be allowed a 5-year extension to leases at a $126,000 discount, especially because they enabled the lies of the lockdown era by making people wear useless masks. Item 7, the state funneled $1.5 million to the River Park Conservancy to buy 75 acres of land to give to the county to expand their land monopoly, costing taxpayers another $129,000 a year to maintain. Item 9, for $1.6 million, the county is going to expand by another 222 acres in Palo Palma, bought from the Orange County-based Maritzky Trust using the excuse of preserving land for mountain lions to kill our pets. It will cost taxpayers another $67,000 a year to maintain. Item 8, it's not climate change if the reason there's less water available is because government refuses to maintain the dam infrastructure. And a $400,000 standing drought task force army sounds unlawful, especially if they think they have any right to facilitate any water wells. And item 11 is more regional governance usurpation, adding a Los Coyotes rep onto a community group meant for Warner Springs. Sounds nice, but it makes the group no different than Shandag. It takes away representation for the directly affected area. People from Warner Springs don't make decisions for Los Coyotes. Oh, no, Jim. It just allows Los Coyotes to make decisions for Warner Springs.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
It's crazy that we sit here and we talk.
Audra, could you please begin by stating your name for the record?
How much? Hello?
Yes, if you could please begin by stating your name for the record.
Your name. My person uses the name Audra. Are we good? Hello?
You may proceed.
Anyway. Okay, thanks. And you probably took up all my time. So as we're talking about the airport, you guys are sitting here and allowing human trafficking to go on in the airport and, continuing to do leases with them. But you're also, engaging with all of these other entities that are facilitating it. And they don't even need an ID to go through security, right? And it's like, but we do. I mean, if we have to cross the border, we need ID. Otherwise, what are we going to do? We're not going to be able to cross, right? If we want to travel, we have to have an ID of some sort. But these people have concierge service. So they get to go from the hotels after they are released from Border Patrol, being, criminals, many of them. And then they just get great service, right? They get all this food. They get travel to the airport on charter buses. How fun is that? It's like, that's so exciting. And then they actually get concierge service to go through the process of going through the gate and security. I mean, how nice is that, right? When we're really trying to facilitate human trafficking, it works so good. I mean, people are really good at, making this happen because, why not, right? We're going to have our total nation destroyed. And it's like, who cares if these children go missing? What matter is that, right? They're just going to be used and abused, and it's good. Because otherwise you'd want to abort them, right? Just give them, maybe they could take that pill you were talking about yesterday and just, abort themselves. I don't know. Because you guys don't seem to care about humanity in any way. You don't care about the county, the fact that you're facilitating all of this, and people are being murdered by these people that are coming across. But as long as it's not your family, right, then it doesn't matter. But then when it is, then it will matter, right? Which is so crazy because everything is upside down and inside out. And everything you guys have on your stupid consent calendar, it's crazy the way that you work and act like.
So, Audra, just a reminder that you need to stay on topic. So this is your first warning. You were off topic the whole time. So please remember. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Chair Vargas. I called in today to support consent items 1, 3, and 4, and I appreciate the county's, Ann Riddle speaking. I support the county's actions on all things that improve our roads. Not only is it important for safety, the obvious reason, but it certainly makes us look like a more gracious county that cares about how we present ourselves and that we like our areas to be safe and clean. I wish you could do something about the roads in and out of the airport downtown San Diego. I suppose that's out of your purview, but my gosh, it's an embarrassment when we come and go every week to pick up people. That said, regarding the safety of our roads and transportation, I was startled by this leading title on an article yesterday, and it goes, "Marijuana is killing a lot of people." Not slowly, although some studies suggest that, but quickly in car crashes. And it goes on to say that marijuana use has increased the number of marijuana-impaired driving fatalities. We know that accidents are up, but they've absorbed more of the vehicle fatalities happening around our county. And one of the reasons why they suggest is because if studies say that if they ask a person impaired by marijuana if they realized it, they always say, oh no, they weren't impaired, and yet everything about their behavior and the test at the roadside suggests that they are. This unfortunately reminds me of the old alcohol company campaign, know when to say when, implying that somebody who's under the influence of alcohol would know that they were under the influence of alcohol. We need to fully appreciate what it means to be impaired and what a danger it is when people marijuana in.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Hello?
Hi. Yes, go ahead and if you could state your name and then begin your comments.
Okay, got it. Okay, so Consuelo, and I am speaking on all of them. And I just wanted to also address what Jim had to say, remind the people that they actually don't need government in their business, period. You can operate your business and use a private trust. So keep your business and private. Let's remind the people of that, okay, Jim? What else? Let's see. Doctors are actually, I think, number 2 or 3 of killers. I like how the poor plant is being vilified all the time, but I get that there are people that don't, I know that they don't make the beautiful plant the way they used to, and so it's being laced, and it's kind of, yeah. What else was I going to say? Waste, addressing waste. How about, this is for the county. I wanted to just suggest, I want to demand that you all, for the reserve signs that you guys print out every meeting for these seats, and then they're just like, a waste of paper always on the floors at the end of the meetings. So sad. Talk about being wasteful. You guys can just have those allotted number printed, laminated, and just use them and then take them out for every meeting. It's like, come on. What else? I know these are petty things, but they're real, and I just want to call you guys out on your hypocrisy. That's it.
Thank you. And Chairman Vargas, that concludes public comment on the items on the consent calendar.
With that, we're going to be voting on items number 1 through 11, minus 10, and FL1. So with that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
And Chairman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
Thank you. Item number 10, I'll turn it over to you, Supervisor, and then we'll open up for public comment.
I just have some questions. I think on this item, and I did receive correspondence actually this morning, so it's not my regular practice, right, to pull based on that. But the correspondence did mention a board letter from last year when I wasn't here, and I just want to make sure that what we are doing in this item is consistent with what this board has previously passed. I have been consistent in asking those questions around ARPA funding. Yesterday, we approved a waiver of A-87, which that's not what we're doing here today. today, but it's similar around procurement. So I just want to be sure. I'm familiar with A87 Section D, which talks about single source and what the qualifications are under a single source contract. So I wanted to get on the record why this would be a single source contract, especially considering the previous board letter and all of our decarbonization efforts.
Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, through the chairwoman, if I could speak to this, and we have Eden Bruckman, our director of the Office of Sustainability and Environmental Justice, who can also address this. In this particular case, we did start off with the intent to proceed with competitive solicitation. However, after speaking with experts in the field, looking for resources that are comparable to what the board directed, we quickly found, and Ms. Bruckman can speak to that, we quickly found that this government entity that we are proposing to sole source contract with does have proprietary modeling technology, specific abilities to obtain information and data, and extensive experience in this field that is not that no other private entities do have. And so we worked very closely with the Department of Purchasing and Contracting to use that very limited sole source authority to proceed in that direction. Ms. Bruckman can answer any other specific questions.
Okay, thank you for that. I would like to include in this study the impact or how we can use this industry to support our small businesses that are entering into this industry. Oftentimes when we talk about impact on communities, we do talk about the pricing of energy, which is extremely important, but there's also an entire industry that can often be closed off. So I want to make sure that that is a focus of what we're talking about here. Really, that was my only, and if we can just specifically, when we go through this process, in Section D, it has, 6 different reasons why single source is allowed, or what specific reasonings were used for this, based off of the policy, specific to the policy. I understand and agree with the explanation, but specific to the policy, what exception in the policy did we use?
Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, through the chair. We approached this originally looking at what would be the most beneficial process for this, starting as Davia Lynch mentioned, talking with experts throughout the field and learning through them that the only organization that they had heard to do any such type study and using a similar approach was NREL, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, who had pursued a study called LA 100 a few years ago. And that took equal processes for both technical and scientific basis, as well as a very deep focus on equity. They also published 100 equity strategies in parallel, looking from individuals, businesses, commercial, et cetera. So as we worked with the Department of Purchasing and Contracting, as well as NREL's contracted authority, the Alliance for Sustainable Energy, what became clear was the single source approach would be most valuable to this process.
Supervisor, if I may, thank you. With respect to your very specific question, the specific clauses that were referenced are D1 and D3 regarding, respectively, unique patents and unique skill and ability. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr.
Okay, thank you so much. That does conclude my questions for now.
We're going to go ahead and open up for public comment. Oh, sorry, sir. Go ahead.
We can do public comment. I can go now if that's okay. Okay, we did get a letter.
I wanted to have her speak because she pulled the item.
Okay, that's fine.
But I wanted to give the public an opportunity to speak and then have the discussion. Fine. Okay, all right, go ahead.
I'll refine them and make them better.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 6 total requests to speak, 2 individuals in person and 4 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did receive 1 e-comment on this item, which was in opposition. For any of the members that requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and I'd like to invite forward Lori, I believe it's Saldana, and Christina Marquez. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and if you could please begin by stating your name for the record.
Thank you. Good morning. It's Lori Saldana, and I appreciate that there is definitely expertise in the agency that you have sought a sole source contract. We're not disputing that, and I represent the foundation, Protect Our Communities Foundation. We do public interest litigation on behalf of ratepayers in San Diego, and we seek to ensure that ratepayers' voices are heard. And under this sole solicitation, it's not made clear if there will be any hearings. I am familiar with the report that was referenced in Los Angeles. They did extensive outreach. They had dozens of community meetings. I would welcome that type of a process with this, but we are actually currently in litigation with the county because of the lack of sufficient public outreach over the original plan, in part. That's one of the reasons. It did happen during COVID. We understand there were constraints on how much public outreach was available at that time. But I have submitted documents if you have a chance to take a look at it. Specifically, what we're concerned about, again, is that sole solicitation originally was the reason we wound up in litigation. We wanted to see this open to a broader audience to consider reviews of this plan. Additionally, as I said, we want to make sure that all stakeholders, including traditionally and historically disadvantaged businesses, are able to weigh in and have their concerns heard. We are seeing in the Climate Action Plan, and I was a colleague of Joel Anderson's, actually before he and I were colleagues, the state legislature did pass the nation's first Greenhouse Reduction Act bill. And many of the Climate Action Plan strategies that we're seeing now around California are the result of that. So I want to make sure that we continue going forward. We reach those goals in a timely manner, and we do that with good stakeholder and community input. So for all those reasons, I ask that you not approve this today. Thank you.
Good morning. Christina Marquez speaking on behalf of IBEW Local 569 and its 3,700 power professionals and union electricians in San Diego and Imperial counties. First off, it's nice to see a full board. Thank you, and welcome, Monica Montgomery-Stepp. We are happy to see there's movement forward to do this study and find best solutions for rooftop solar, infill solar, and battery energy storage for low-income, vulnerable, got it, and environmental justice communities impacted disproportionately, I can't talk today. I think I need more coffee. Anyways, we want to help those who don't have a voice. You know, like Monica was saying, you know, the small businesses, the people in the communities that don't have the money, that can't afford these things. We need to do these studies, and we need to do it right. And our union is a longtime proponent of a clean energy future, locally and statewide, and we want to make sure it's done by 2035 like we've committed ourselves to do so, as long as it's intertwined with good paying, high road, high wage jobs. Excellent training, including joint labor management training, and ensuring that we use C10 electrical contractors that are hiring certified state certified general electricians. This is really important right now. There's a lot of people that want to do our work. We need to make sure that electricians are doing this work that have been trained on it for years. Electricity will kill, and it needs to have people that have been trained on this, that go through a 4- and 5-year apprenticeship, not just a 3-month class. We need to make sure it's done right, and you guys are the ones who can help do that by making sure that policies are there to ensure it's seen through. But we also need to help out the lower income. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll begin with our first caller.
Hey, Truth, Monica, I appreciate your questioning of all these sole source contracts. Really, every item that has one should provide an explanation by default, you would think, but nah, not how it works. A 4.5-year, $1.1 million monopoly contract for studies done by the federal government's Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Laboratory friend, or cohort, and I hope that word doesn't bring out Bergman. We don't need to hear any more nonsense. Anyways, their friend, the Alliance for Sustainable Energy, LLC, we're going to tell the county they should put toxic combustible lithium infrastructure and batteries everywhere. The Alliance for Sustainable Energy is managed by Battelle and MRI Global. MRI Global makes RNA vaccines, biolaboratories, and are involved in global health surveillance. Battelle says the research was the foundation for program development and public policy for the lying CDC. So this item claims there should be unbiased research, development, and analysis. How's that going to happen with these types of entities whose research seems to have led to absolute disaster the last 4 years? Battelle also pushes connected autonomous vehicles with data capture. And they are creating neurotechnology, or so they claim. I don't see proof. But we really don't need an energy supply study to know the effects of inflow electric energy everywhere. We know non-recyclable solar panels will be shoved next to government projects in low-income neighborhoods, and the rates of electricity are only going up. We also know that no matter where those panels would be, that energy would be redistributed to wherever government wants it to go. And this item claims science-based pathways to reach zero carbon emissions. Well, science says we are carbon, and trees need carbon.
Source of energy in the U.S. Panel.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, sustainable energy, and you should never be doing sole source procurements no matter what. I don't care what your excuses are, and to even try and think about using ARPA funding for this is rather ridiculous. You're never going to go to zero carbon unless we're all dead. And, you know, everything that you're doing when you're trying to decarb, all of the infrastructure and solar and lithium, you need gas and oil in order to extract it from the earth. And those things will never save as much, energy as you think. They create more than they'll ever save in their lifetime. And they're lithium bombs. They're literally something where it's going to, affect the people in the long run, not only through radiation and different things. It is, I'm on two different meetings. This is ridiculous. But it's sad to think that you can sit here and lie and act like you're using science. And I mean, you even think that, trees absorb oxygen. It's ridiculous. They actually recycle carbon and create oxygen. But instead, you want to lie to the people to push them into a fear-based reality so that they believe that we have to save the planet when everything that you're doing is actually destroying it. You don't even care about kids, mining for lithium. That's a funny thing. And I was on topic before, Nora. You just don't like what I had to say. The truth hurts, but it's true. What's happening? And there are children that are mining for lithium that we're using. And it's like, you don't ever think about that kind of stuff. It's like you just want to kind of push your agenda because that's the whole point of your job, and so that you can be puppeted around to do nefarious things. But if you were, truthful with the people, you wouldn't be lying to them and saying, like, all the things that are destroying the planet are actually saving it. You would do things that were, conducive to the environment, and, not endangering people's health, because everything that we're doing.
Thank you. Can you please state your name for the record?
The person uses the name Audra.
Thank you.
Paul the Bold. After the COVID debacle, with its data suppression and misinformation campaigns, lies, distortions, groundless mandates, and on and on. I don't know how you have the nerve to enter into a single source contract with the contracting authority for the U.S. Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Lab. It looks like you're unnecessarily politicizing the energy supply, and it is a terrible idea to lock yourself into a single source contract, especially with people who are related to the CDC. And, you know, as for others speaking on topic, Nora, if you weren't looking at your computer screen or whatever, you'd have heard her first sentence was that she was right on topic. So maybe you should just resign. Thank you.
And Chairman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right, Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. We did receive this letter here from Protect Our Communities Foundation that Ms. Saldana had referenced. And I guess the three main things out of there were basically the sole source item or an issue. So, Inga, do you have any input on that as far as, are we legally, we can use this entity as a sole source?
Yes, Supervisor Desmond, the board, when it's acting to authorize sole source negotiations and contracting, is bound by board policy A87, and that was followed here. It allows sole source when there is unique knowledge and ability or skill set or proprietary information, and all of that is present here with this contractor. Some of that's documented in the letter. What happens today is that the board is just authorizing the negotiation process, and then once the scope of work is fully fleshed out and detailed through a public process, we'll make sure to do all of that. Then it will return to the appropriate decision maker.
Okay, thank you. One of the other comments that the project should provide stakeholder feedback and responses. So you said during the process in the negotiations, we're all going to be accepting public input on that at that time?
I don't want to make that promise. I don't know that that's required under the sole source negotiation.
In the negotiations? Okay, well then I guess
we can figure that out if board wants to.
Well, if that's, I don't want to muddy those waters if that's not the protocol for that. But I do think that when the study is being done, that we ask NREL to get stakeholder feedback and responses, and so that stakeholders can get have their say as well as they're going through this study. And the other thing that I gleaned out of the letter was that the study included a statement of work. Originally, I brought this forward primarily because of the concerns I had gotten from the unincorporated areas, and the unincorporated areas unfortunately felt like a dumping ground for all of the solar panels and renewable energies and things like that. We're taking on that burden, but weren't really benefiting from it. And it's primarily from a study that was done prior by UCSD, which is more of a much broader study that didn't really look down at the basics and see what we had here within San Diego County and on our rooftops already. So this NREL, that's how you pronounce it, they've actually done work here in San Diego County. They've worked for the Port of San Diego, the San Diego Airport itself. Also, they've worked at the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego and developed a microgrid, which is powered by solar, landfill gas, natural gas, and diesel fuel. So they're not new to the area. They've done some work here. But my intention when I brought this board letter forward was that we look at the infill areas, not just the other side of the mountain for energy, but if there's energy here to be used or created and used on this side of the where the urban area is. So I think this scope of work is stated here well in the agenda item where it says, the energy supply study will analyze existing and potential capacity for residential, commercial, and other infill meaning the urban areas here, renewable energy and battery storage infrastructure throughout the region and per the supervisorial districts. So I think that the intent is there, and that's the work plan that we look here. We agree the desert areas and some of those may be beneficial places for some of the energy to come from, but it shouldn't be the only place where it comes from. So that's the real reason for doing this study and why I brought it forward. And the unincorporated areas have a point that hey, you know, Hamo, I know, it takes a lot of solar panels and big projects out there, and they're not benefiting from it. Borrego is kind of in the same boat. Unfortunately, also get the sexually violent predators all get put out there. So we've got to make sure that the people in the unincorporated areas are also those that are vulnerable and also in search of, I guess, the environmental justice as well. So we got to make sure that we're all have skin in the game here with this. So with that, I'm happy with the sole source. The company seems to have a good reputation. It is looking at the infill projects on this side of the mountains, and I'd like to make a motion to approve item 10.
All right, Supervisor Anderson?
I have a couple questions. I went through this, and Supervisor Desmond made a lot of points that I was deeply concerned about. But when I read through it, it said adoption of distribution, solar, wind, geothermal energy production paired with storage by region and sector through 2050. Is there a reason why we wouldn't look at biofuels as well? Because we know that biofuel production in the inner city sometimes is difficult.
Thank you, Supervisor Anderson, for the question. Through the chairwoman, Eden, I'm going to turn that question to you, please, regarding whether we will be looking at biofuels or have the opportunity to add that to this study.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. We do have an opportunity to talk with NREL about the scope and include an exploration of biofuels. The proprietary software that's called DGen, or the Distributed Generation Market Demand, is a tool that they've created to forecast the adoption of those types of infill systems. So solar, wind, and geothermal energy are the predominant systems included in that tool currently. They do have over 550 patents that look at a whole range of renewable energy strategies and have offered to be able to customize based on our needs. So we can certainly explore biofuels.
And then when I was looking at this, if I read it correctly, we're going with 1 year with 3 single-year options to move forward. And the way I read it is it's automatic. And I'd really like for it to come back to the board every time we go to extend it so that we get an update on where we are and what we're looking at. You know, this is, excuse the pun, it's very fluid. And things change a lot, new technologies, new things. And to think that we could be 3 years down the road or 3 adjustments down the road and miss something, I just would feel better if we were able to look at that. So if the motion maker would be willing to accept a friendly amendment to bring this back every time we do an extension, I'd like to have that if possible. Yeah. And I'd be happy to second that. And then finally, I share the same concerns as my colleague from the 5th District. We've received a lot of concern in my district over battery storage. Many of the areas that have been proposed are in high fire risk areas. And you can't turn on YouTube without a battery, lithium battery or other battery, starting a fire. And I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. I count on data to direct us. I just want to make sure that in this study, that as we're looking at it, we're taking into consideration the risk of wildfire, and that we're also taking in consideration if we went to more rooftop, whether that rooftop would be a safer venue. I just want to make sure safety is part of the matrix that we're looking at moving forward. Those are my concerns, and I appreciate the team for all the work they're putting together, and thank you. And so, Madam Chair, I think we have a motion and a second. I think it's all good. But if it isn't, do I need to do anything? Okay, thank you.
I just want to real quick explain the distinction in my mind with regard to the single source, sole source conversation. This entity that we're proposing to go with has unique knowledge. They have proprietary information. And so in my mind, that's different from just having the experience, right? The experience, you still have to put out an RFP for the entire world to see if it's a matter of experience. If it's unique knowledge, only folks in the field that have what they have collectively, that is, in my mind, justifies a single source. And that's what I'm hearing today, and that's why I'm supportive, because it sounds like, and there's enough in the record to support that. So I just want to make sure that's clear. Like, I appreciate, the other studies and everything, but it's the fact that they have the unique knowledge and proprietary information, I think, that we will benefit from and move forward in our efforts. So thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present, voting aye.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the notice public hearing, Hillside Meadows open space vacation and addendum to previously adopted environmental impact report. Let's go ahead and turn it over to the public first.
Thank you, Chairman Vargas. We have 4 total requests to speak on this item, all coming via phone. I'd also like to note for the record, we did receive 1 e-comment on this item, which was in favor. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to, and we'll give you a moment to do so. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
It's truth. I love having discussions about vacations. Makes me think about taking a vacation away from these horrible meetings. The city that's based like properties is trying to vacate some land so they and the Lakeside Investment Company can build the Hillside Meadows project in Lakeside. The Gleick family sent their applicant, Randy Lang, to work on it on their behalf. This might be the biggest infill area I've ever heard without stack effects, so I have no issue with it. Who wants ugly and expensive tiny box units when you can have a beautiful single-family home, hopefully with land? But even if the land's not much, there will be a park and a 20-foot trail. I'm curious if the 2 industrial lots will be factories or businesses or both. Apparently, Hilliker Egg Ranch has no objections because they're getting a few $100,000 concrete floors out of the deal made between Lakeside Investment Company and Delaware-based LECO 2 and LECO 3, both under Randy Lang's name. Why did he start 2 other LPs? If here the Gleick have got that much money, then maybe Frank Hilliker should have asked for more. Maybe the chicks would have liked more heat lamps instead of cold concrete in their chicken houses. Maybe they would have even enjoyed some music. I found one must always ask for more and try to insert fun in every crevice of life possible. Otherwise, people may ask for more vacations instead. So that means hurry up and approve like $10,700 easement so we can have 142 single-family homes for people to live in. Although even if somebody here crazily doesn't want real homes built, there's still going to be 133 homes, and that still beats stack and tax. Actually, these future residents are even more lucky because they won't have to buy $7, maybe $17 eggs. They'll be able to walk over to Hilliker's egg farm and get fresh eggs anytime they want. Excellent, and I am excited for this project. And I'm going to quit yoking around before anyone cracks up. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Lola Bold. Unlike the El Capitan County Preserve, where you want to spend or maybe have spent $453,000 for 775 acres, about $6,000 per acre, plus $129,000 per year. Hillside Meadows, by contrast, is a good idea, a great deal. $10,700 to vacate 37 acres. It works out to about $289 an acre. Now we're thinking. Don't know why we have to wait until April, and I hope that any housing on the site will be 3D, shipping container, or manufactured, so that the potential tenants can move in sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Thank you.
Are you there? Are you done?
Thank you.
That's it. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll go to our next caller.
The person uses the name Audra. It's interesting whenever you're just like bringing in all your vehicle mile, all your studies to do all these things to, it actually makes all these projects take a lot longer. But, anything we can do to provide housing for people is a must. But the sad thing is that we don't do it in a rapid manner. It's like it moves at a snail's pace. It's something that we can't even provide affordable housing for people. And this doesn't, seem to be including any of that. But the non-affordable housing seems to go up lickety-split, which is really sad because we need more affordable housing. And even when you call it affordable, it isn't. But it's a wonder, if this project is actually going to, bring homes to people. And the hope is that it does. But it's sad that it costs so much money just to provide these homes, but part of that is your guys' fault because of all of the processes you make these people go through in order to just build properties. And in the end, it's like you want to take it from us anyway. So you sit here up on a high horse and act like, we're providing all this stuff, but then on the other hand, you'll also take it back from people if they don't pay their taxes, right? And then you can do a land grab. So it's just funny to see that there's such a yin and yang kind of thing with you guys where it's like on one hand you want to, virtue signal and act like you're doing some really great things, but in reality, what you're doing is the total and complete opposite of that. And, so, hopefully this can provide homes for people because it's really important and people are leaving at, astronomical rates in the county because of a lot of the, things that are going on. But, hopefully it's something that you're not going to, sit here and make empty promises and whatnot for the people. But, this open space doesn't even need to happen for it.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Oh, sorry.
We need a motion.
Oh, we don't have a
I'll move
motion?
approval.
Motion?
Second.
Just look at you. Motion and a second. Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present voting aye.
All right. The next item on the agenda is closed session public comment. Can you please go ahead and call the speakers?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 5 total requests to speak, all come in via phone again. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to, and we'll give you a moment to do so. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll begin with our first caller.
My personal username, Audra. I mean, all 4 of these items, like, don't have any information. That's why it would be nice if, you guys could provide just a little bit of information to the people to be more transparent. I mean, the city of San Diego, they do just a little bit so that there's kind of a description so that the people can see. But it's just a bunch of anticipated litigation and then, existing litigation for your workers' compensation appeals board and then, your CAO employment. But when when we're talking about anticipated litigation, that could mean many, many things, right? Again, we have an invasion on our border, so I'm wondering if, when something happens elsewhere from this, from these people being, facilitated and trafficked through our border and through our airport, through all of these things, are you facing litigation for that? Is it fraud, waste, and abuse from all the things that you guys are doing, making promises to the people and you don't really, follow through? Is it, just the fact that you guys are engaging in treason, engaged with the UN and pushing all of their sustainability goals to enslave the people? Man, it's so many things. Like, just the fact that you guys waste our money, that, even with Sandag, look what's happening with Sandag, and that's trying to be hidden by you, Nora. So, is that litigation here coming after you for doing those kinds of things and trying to brush everything under the rug? Gosh, it's like there's a plethora of things that this could be, right? But why tell the people about it? Because that would be stupid. Then you would be transparent, and they can't know what you're doing. Oh, my gosh, we have to brush it under the rug and pretend like nothing to see here. But, yeah, hopefully it's about the human trafficking and the missing children that have, disappeared from the convention center. It's crazy. Nobody cares about that. Nobody gives 2 craps about where the kids went. It's crazy.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
I just wanted to correct myself, Consuelo, for my last comment regarding the number 1 killer of people. That would be government is number 1 killer of people, followed by big pharma and doctors. So my bad. And as I say, let's vilify a beautiful plant that's grown on this beautiful earth. What else did I want? Oh, climate change. I wanted to also, I just don't understand how people can talk about the climate and forget to, mention, they fail to mention about the geoengineering that is happening above us all. You just got to look up. Don't be deniers. Let's see. And people, somebody was talking about how they're the voice of the people. People do have a voice. And instead of being their representative of the people, how about empowering them to speak up for themselves, on behalf of themselves? Stop trying to represent people. How about empowering the people and letting them know that they, in fact, do have the power? And, it's just a matter of time when these people on the dais will be useless. No offense, but you guys already are useless. That's all I got.
Well, thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
It's truth cases A and B are more anticipated litigation. And I'm curious if either of these are a follow-up case involving Denise Garcia, who moved on up to chief by a national affairs officer, just coincidentally, after that last litigation alleging she said racist things. And just coincidentally in a new role where she's more likely to feel comfortable with people who most likely look like herself. I don't really believe in coincidences myself. KC is existing litigation, AM versus the County of San Diego, something to do with the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board. I can almost smell the purple shirt in this case. And case D is again about picking a new chief administrative officer. Apparently, Sarah isn't radical enough for these supervisors. And Jim, I thought about personally doing this job, but the same deal as with the Sandag Audit Committee. I am not a numbers person. I even hate budgets. I think I'm going to have to stick to that possible future goal of District 1 supervisor, because I do enjoy legitimately disrupting the status quo versus just talking about it like Joel. And here's why I want a CAO without a history of political activity. Because instead of people making decisions in the best interest of their country in line with the Constitution for the United States of America, people are making decisions on behalf of a political party's wishes. They're more concerned not with riots or doing the right thing, but with big money from lobbyists and moving up the political ladder. A future CEO or anyone in government belonging to a political party inherently has a conflict of interest against the country. And so it may be in the best interest of the country to ban political parties, something to consider. And for a new CAO, I end on this wisdom from Frank Herbert, quote, "All governments suffer a recurring problem. Power attracts pathological personalities. It's not that power corrupts, but that it's magnetic to the corruptible. They are quickly addicted," end quote. And so I'm going to assume non-agenda is next because I thought it was going to be this one. And apparently closed session came before non-agenda.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Paul Gold. What I am looking for in the CAO, apart from someone who's non-political, excuse me, I would like the new CAO to fulfill her consent calendar assembly duties by putting proper items on consent. The rules say routine items, that's a quote. I have seen lots of non-routine items being put on consent. Next, transparency. Posting documentation, slideshows, justification. I mean, the public should not go in blind. Third, screen for all legal issues. It's not really good enough to just sign off on a document without checking the Constitution on down, whether there'll be any conflict with what the people's business is. Next, I want no equity statement. If it's part of the justification, post it as such. But I mean, half the time there's no need for an equity statement. It's just sitting there, a bunch of junk. And last, on real sustainability. And by real sustainability, that means how long the item will last, not whether it fulfills a few obscure rules or needs. Anyway, so that's what I'd be looking for in a CAO. Thanks.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is non-agenda public comment. We're going to go to non-agenda public comment, and so if you can just call the remainder of the speakers.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We still have 16 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 11 individuals in person, and 5 requesting to speak by phone. For those that have requested to speak via phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand against the east wall of the murals until it is your turn to speak. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board. I'm going to call individuals in groups of 5. Carmen Torres, Robert Gurman, Gail, Nancy Wilkins, and Kate Ione. You may come forward in any order, and you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. And if you could just please begin by stating your name for the record.
Hi, good morning. My name is Carmen Torres. I'm a voting district resident of District 1, Nora's district. I'm here to urge you to please remove all the horses and dogs owned by Deborah Barkley and Craig Netwig for allegations of animal cruelty. Previously, I attended your meeting for the first time on March 13th to share community concerns with emaciated horses and dogs on the properties, and these concerns are ongoing. Over a year ago, the local CBS News reported on an injured horse on the property and another horse trapped in the mud that sadly died. Department of Animal Services has been notified on numerous occasions by various neighbors without meaningful action to help the animals. Addressing these concerns appears beyond the Department of Animal Services capabilities. They lack the equine expertise and would benefit greatly from specialized training because they have permitted these animals to languish and die. So I urge you as county supervisors, please take the compassionate step to address concerns of neglect and inadequate care of animals on the properties owned by Deborah Barkley and Craig Netwick. To request specific, coordinate with the Poway Sheriff's Department to transfer all the horses and dogs to a sanctuary. To reform the county's Department of Animal Services, hold leadership accountable, and hire the right people. Current management has failed their responsibilities by allowing these animals to remain in jeopardy. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You can go ahead and state your name for the record. We're going to start your time.
Yes. It's about water quality. Gail Dealing. Unlike the salty groundwater basin below the San Diego River in Mission Valley, the geography of Mission Gorge protects the East Basin from the brine of the Pacific. The Almonte Basin, not yet, serves an aquifer and emergency water resource. For many, this basin provides their only source of drinking water. For the last 100 years, Lakeside and Helix water districts have been utilizing their groundwater from wells in this aquifer. They blend it with water that they purchase. For Lakeside, the El Monte Basin provides 30 to 40% of their winter water supply. Next slide. Most of the parcels in the El Monte Valley are zoned agricultural or open space on large lots of over 1 acre. The large lots allow for the septic systems and leach lines to treat and clean the wastewater using a careful balance of soil drainage capacity. Open space allows for recharge. Next slide. Willow RV parking pathways to housing solutions leads the transitional homeless to green zones. Next slide. Next slide. Surrounded by parks, ball fields, and the river and ponds. Next slide. All atop of drinking water basin. Next slide. 17 households on 1 acre without sewer. Next slide. 17 households on 1 acre on septic. Next slides. All zoned for 1 household per 2 acre minimum. Next slides. All with no environmental impact report required due to homeless emergency. No. Next slide. Next EIR. No EIR required due to temporary small structures, and CEQA exemption does not address the increase in septic. Next slide. The county is demolishing their existing wells on the site. This is it. And those living without shelter need pathways to get out of homelessness. These pathways should never lead to the rivers, but away from them. Water resources and rivers and basins need to be protected. Please reconsider your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Wilkins, and I am in favor of the RV park. However, I have a question on that up there on Willow Road because of the water issue, and mainly that the community was not engaged in meaningful ways and to approve this. It was approved at the meeting. And we did a survey of neighbors, and it showed that virtually none of them had been engaged in any way. The Lakeside Planning Group, the high schools, the Little Leagues, the Pony Leagues, the high school, El Capitan High School, or the polo grounds, none of them that are adjacent to and near this park. My concern is that we have so many young people, children, activities right in that area that completely surrounds the location for the RV park. And so I'm going to ask the county, I feel that we've been failed in the #1 goal to engage the community in terms of decision-making, and that any decision to move forward should be reassessed and made only after a hearing notice is brought out to the broader community. Thank you.
Slideshow, slide 1. The handout of 2020 lists Mr. Dennis Props, Vice President of Development, San Diego County Regional Airport Authority, as guest speaker. After his presentation, there was a question and answer session. Written question to Mr. Prowse. What about moving to Miramar? Mr. Prowse, without hesitation, we will be there in 10 years. Then added how difficult it is to build at Lindbergh. Lindbergh is only 633 acres with one runway. Mr. Props said, and international airports are usually 3,000 acres plus multiple runways. MCAS is 23,000 acres, which includes 2 runways, 2 railroad tracks, real train tracks, room for trolley, bus, train, and aircraft maintenance and repair facilities, trolley, bus, train service to the lobby of a convenient San Diego County Regional Airport. Combine Montgomery and Gillespie Field at Miramar, which would free up valuable any intercity land. When leaving San Diego for Sacramento, look out the window. When arriving at Sacramento, look out the window. Then compare. When walking through the lobbies, compare. Sacramento airport layout is what San Diego needs for the future, and with the new political will San Diego could have. The last 2 slides are what to expect if we stay at Lindbergh. Poor health and lawsuits. Do we have any questions? And now that I have time, Mr. Desmond, Supervisor Desmond, pilot, captain, were you a captain? Yeah, good for you. Was involved with all of this airport layout from the get-go. So he knows first well about what, or very well what I'm talking about. In fact, we talked about it 10 years ago at Sandag meeting. Yes, we did, right.
Would you mind stating your name for the record?
Oh, Robert Gurman.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And looking for Kate Ione. Not seeing Kate. We'll go to the next 5 speakers. Zora Fahim, Lewis, Jimmy Rosero, Mary Ann Vancio, and Samantha Prado.
How you doing? My name is Rick Elizondo. I know it says Luis there, but anyways, that's besides the point. The reason I'm here is to talk about opposing the homeless encampment, tiny homes that are proposed to be built behind my backyard, basically, right off of the 125 and Hamshaw Road. We deal with this problem every day for the past 20-some-odd years with the homeless people back there. We're trying to find a resolution of why they're not removed. There's posted signs saying that there's no trespassing, no loitering or such, but yet they get a pass. If it was up to me, if I would do it, I would get a ticket, I would have to pay a fine. I don't see why these people are given the exemption of having to be punished for their breaking of the law. I want to be a voice for our community because nobody told us about this tiny homes being built in our backyard. It was by chance that we saw people from CPL out there doing surveying, and my fiance went up there and asked them what was the whole purpose behind it. And we didn't hear nothing about a proposal about building these tiny homes for these homeless people. Every day we deal with them, they're out there in the backyard yelling, fighting, smoking, cooking out. It looks like they're out there camping instead of being homeless, and then they have all this trash that comes along with them. It's an eyesore, and it's costing our homes to be lost in this value because who wants to live will buy a property where you have all these homeless people out there urinating and doing their business in your backyard and no punishment. I believe that something has to be done. We have to have a voice in the construction of this homeless and tiny homes. It's our rights as citizens.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm a constituent for District 2. My name is Samantha Prado. I'm a 23-year-old animal advocate, and I'm here to be a voice and speak up for the horses and dogs abused and neglected by Deborah Barkley. Frankly, the County of Animal Services is not doing their job. Meanwhile, horses continue to die slow, painful deaths, and dogs continue to roam the streets as strays. Laws are being broken and neighbors are beyond disturbed. Madam Chair, thank you for connecting us to PSG. Thank you so much for your compassion towards animals. County of Animal Services has been investigating and it's been going nowhere. Please remove all of the horses and dogs to be sent to a sanctuary through the detectives in Poway Sheriff Station. Investigate Deborah Barkley and Craig Netwig for allegations of animal cruelty through District Attorney Summer 7, and please begin reforming the County of San Diego Department of Animal Services. The fact this has been happening for years is disgusting, and it is time to bring justice to these animals in desperate need of your help. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Ann Vancio. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. I'd like to talk about regional trail planning. This is in relationship to the Sweetwater Authority's State of California grant opportunity to do some trail improvements near the Loveland Reservoir, and how these trails will impact the importance of regional trail planning for both the California Riding and Hiking Trail and the Sweetwater River and Loop Trail. Sweetwater Authority's trail planning can have a significant effect on the future trail planning for the region. If you look at the county's regional trail plan and you start in Bonita, you get on the Sweetwater River and Loop Trail and you follow that alignment towards Rancho San Diego to Willow Road, to Dehesa Road, and to Sloan Canyon Road. The Sweetwater River and Loop Trail at Sloan Canyon Road will connect to the California Riding and Hiking Trail near Beaver Hollow. It continues east along Sloan Canyon Road to the Sequan Truck Trail, and until the California Riding and Hiking Trail leaves the Sequan Truck Trail and enters on the Sweetwater Authority property. The trail will then daylight at Hoptool Road, where it crosses the road and ends up on Forest Service land. It goes north towards Rancho Palo Verde, and from there onto the Viejas Creek Truck Trail, crosses the road onto, Viejas Grade Road, north towards Descanso, and eventually to Cuyamaca State Park. From Cuyamaca State Park, it continues and it splits, goes north towards Warner Springs, Riverside County line, and then east to Anza Borrego. It is imperative that the County of San Diego be aware that Sweetwater's trail planning may affect the county's regional trail planning, and there needs to be some coordination with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jimmy Rosario, Spring Valley homeowner. I'm here to speak on behalf of the proposed homeless cabin project that's going to be located at 125 and Hamishal Road. I'm asking to reconsider the location. I'm all for homeless assistance, but I think that particular location is not an ideal location due to its proximity to the amount of residences, homeowners with kids. I estimated on Google Earth the distance to be about 190 yards from the local school. There's plenty of other pieces of land around town where this homeless cabin project could go. I just am asking to please reconsider where it's going to go. And as far as the neighbors are concerned, we were never even informed. We all heard through the news network of this homeless encampment. But yeah, that's why I'm here. And I waited all this time to say this because it's very important that we get this project relocated somewhere else. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I missed my name earlier. My name is Kate Ione. I am a voting constituent for the Tara Lawson-Remmers District, District 3, the same district in which these atrocities are happening to innocent horses and dogs. The crime against these animals, both living and now deceased, have been going on for far too long, with no end in sight to the pain and suffering these neglected animals are experiencing 24/7. And with no laws being upheld and no prosecution of Deborah Barkley and Craig Netwig. Tara and her office have denied us a meeting, and we will keep coming here to call upon our elected officials to seize the remaining animals from these properties. These animals need love and care, and nothing less, and they belong in sanctuary. As a voting constituent, I am watching our cries for help being ignored by Tara Lawson-Remmer. I vote for representatives that show a kind heart toward people and toward animals, animals who have no voice and are relying on humans to do the right thing. Ms. Remmer, you recently had a photo op with District Attorney Summer Steffen. Did you speak to her for when she will be removing all of these animals from Artesian Road? I am very upset about the situation, and I urge you to take immediate action. This cannot go on much longer. Thank you.
Ma'am.
1 second.
Ma'am, someone from my office is going to be coming out to speak with you. Thank you.
And before you begin your comments, I'd like to call our last public speaker, Lori Saldana. And then just to note for our viewers and members of public in the chamber, the next video that staff is bringing up, just want to note that this is about to be, the video about to be shown may be considered graphic for some viewers. And you may begin your comments.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Zora Fahim, president of Los Angeles Alliance for Animals. I'm also a very proud District 5 voting constituent. I have a team of equine experts right now who are very concerned with what's going on Artesian Road. This video shows the conditions of the horses on Artesian Road with no adequate herd management or adequate care and attention, which is why the horses are sustaining these injuries. Madam Chair Vargas, thank you so much for connecting us to PSG and your compassion towards animals. I wanted to let you know that the County of Animal Services has been investigating, and it's been ongoing and going absolutely nowhere. They are untrained. Officers have been doing welfare checks from the road. This is absolutely unacceptable, and we urge you, supervisors, to please and respectfully put pressure on these agencies to remove all the horses to be sent to a sanctuary. Mr. Joel Anderson, you talked about a really important topic, which is disaster readiness. My question to Animal Services is, what is the operational plan for Department of Animal Services to immediately respond to a disaster? Because as of right now, it's non-existent. They're not doing any training since Lieutenant Padilla took over the training. She's not training individuals, and we have a group of very eager volunteers right now ready to help with disaster readiness, and this department is completely failing. I'm also a district leader for Humane Society of the United States, which have 10 million members worldwide. I'm coalition with Animal Defenders International, PETA, Social Compassion Legislation, in defense of animals, who have thousands of San Diego voting constituents who care so deeply about the treatment of animals in the county. We're all taxpayers, and we urge you to please hold these agencies responsible, because right now they're completely failing, and that's why we're here to urge for your help. Thank you.
Ma'am, there's a person in my office in the back. She's going to come speak with you as well. Thank you.
I want to take off my previous hat as president of the Protect Our Communities Foundation. I'm speaking now as someone who's concerned about the deaths in custody in San Diego jails. And recently, Paul Parker resigned from his position with the Law Enforcement Review Board. I think that's a terrible loss for the county. He was a very diligent and experienced investigator. And I want to encourage this board not to do what the Union Tribune suggested and use your budget process, because that's an impossible situation information for you. That's not the way county government works. One elected board cannot compel another elected official to make changes to policies. But the deaths in our jails have gotten so egregious, I want to encourage you to look into putting the jails into receivership. And if you're not familiar with receiverships, it is a way that an appointed neutral party can take over supervision of the jails, conduct confidential interviews, and really determine why San Diego is one of the worst jails, if not only in the state of California, but in the entire country, when it comes to health care deficiencies, when it comes to the deaths in custody. The CLER board can continue in a parallel path, but I frankly, and I have told them this, I think they are very well-meaning, but they are just ineffective. And without Paul Parker, I think that will continue. So please consider putting them in receivership. It is something that is a necessary step. Rikers Island was faced with that. They submitted a plan, a detailed plan, and how they would make changes to reduce the deaths in custody in their facilities. But San Diego, I was the person who recommended 3 years ago the state audit. I worked with Akila Weber's office to make that possible. We know on the day that state audit about county jails was released, Bill Gore resigned, and a resignation does not solve the problems, does not save lives. We need more actions, and I think a receivership is the way to go. Thank you.
And would you mind stating your name for the record, please?
Yes, sorry, Lori Saldana.
No problem. Thank you very much. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
It is truth, and I will expose the abused horse story in person, hopefully next time. I think Nora's been busy with all the Sandak toll fiasco drama. Why she missed some of this meeting and yesterday. Actually, I just want to say that, seriously, that horse story is so horrible. And this is just typical county non-work. How else can I put it? Neglect, negligence, etc. All right, I'm going to get back to what I wrote. I watched the county's Public Health Champion Awards, and I had to disagree with the civic engagement and public health being linked because it seems to cause bad health to be engaged in these meetings, hence why I decided not to go today. Eric McDonald said, quote, "You, Wilma Wooten, were the face of COVID-19," end quote. So instead of the Wilma J. Wooten Awards, maybe we should call them the COVID-19 Awards, because both names are synonymous with lies. And Nora, next time you can't make the awards, get a cardboard cutout of yourself made for these people who seem desperate to get a photo with you. I also watched the county's Earth Day videos, and wannabe Captain Planet Supervisors, your PR campaign videos, were recorded using cameras that run off lithium batteries which cannot be recycled, and when they end up in the landfill, they repeatedly catch fire. The same applies even more to those dangerously combustible electric vehicles. But I do want to thank Monica for recording a real message showing a real place, Mount Hope Community Garden. But Jim, why were you recording on a flight path? I also watched the county's Transgender Day of Visibility video. I liked the positive poem that told a relatable story. My only issue is that there was only one story. There was no balance. And real life, someone trying to find themselves and love themselves struggles. Real visibility would mean featuring all transgender stories. That's inclusive of detransitioning and those who decided to accept themselves as they were uniquely born just right. May everyone find that inner acceptance they're looking for. It's in the heart and in the mind. You got to love yourself. And
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
My person uses the name Audra. It's really sad to hear these people come in and talk about these abused horses. And I think about, man, I wasn't trying to cry like this, the kids that are coming across the border and how we can just ignore things like that, how children can be drugged. Just to cross with individuals they don't know, how Border Patrol agents know that these children are coming unaccompanied, and they're sending them to one address. Lots of kids to one address. And so we're trafficking these kids. And, I just think about how it's like, how do we not acknowledge these things? And you know, it's like we need to stop with the cognitive dissonance and trying to be like, you know, we don't want to look at these horses because it's too hard to handle. You know, we don't want to look and think about these kids because maybe it's too much to take in. But that's the thing, is that we have to be real and honest, because the things that are going on are atrocious, and it's heartbreaking. The more research I do on the trafficking that's happening with these children, it's very depressing, because you guys are helping facilitate it. There are so many programs. There's nothing that's being done to stop it. There's everything that's being done to help it move quicker, faster, and have more and more and more of it. And it's really disturbing to me, because it's like, who do you go to? We're supposed to be mandated reporters, right? Like, you guys, different people, and we can talk about child abuse like yesterday, but then it's happening. You're helping facilitate it, and you won't even acknowledge it. And, I mean, these people are even given rape kits to be, you know, migrating to our nation, so that if they get raped, you know, they can have one of those pills that you guys give out to people.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
Thank you. Before you adjourn, Supervisor Desmond?
I just, I think we need some sort of a presentation or an update on this horse ranch. I hear that staff is doing and going out there, but we're still hearing concerns from the public. So can we get a presentation? I know it's not pretty, it's going to be ugly, but an update in public, maybe at our next meeting, on what's going on, what's being done, and how we can maybe prevent this. This is not going away.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. No, I think, so my goal was to follow up. I had requested staff to follow up on this issue, and I haven't gotten a briefing back just yet. So I'm waiting for that briefing, and I'm assuming that we're going to get one as soon as we get it, so we can share it with everyone else, and go from there. And then, like you said, maybe a presentation would be good.
If we can do it at a meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't think we need to do a board letter, but they can ask. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think that's great. I mean, I've been talking to lots of people and being told, no, this is happening, but it'd be good to get this all in one place. So, good idea. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move to closed session, and we'll be in closed session in about 10 minutes, and then, thank you, that's it.
The board will now recess into closed session to continue consideration of those matters listed under item 27 on yesterday's agenda. If there are any reportable actions, they will be reported out after the conclusion of closed session today.